So let's talk about Fire Emblem Heroes. Finally said it right. Hell yeah. So I want to tackle this conversation is I want to run through all of my positives for the game first, and then whoever else has played can run through your positives, and then we'll get into all the negatives, and then we'll finish it off with just an overall, discussion about the game. So for me, the positives, it's exactly what I expected, and that's huge. I didn't set my expectations too high. Going in, I figured this is Fire Emblem Light. And that's exactly what it is. I love Fire Emblem. Unfortunately, I didn't play the last trio of games. I just never got around to it, which is unfortunate. I'll probably pick them up on a sale. The last Fire Emblem I played was Awakening. So I like Fire Emblem quite a bit. I'm excited for the announcement of a console Fire Emblem for the Switch. That's a huge selling point to me, honestly. I like Legend of Zelda, but Legend of Zelda isn't something that resonates with me enough to make me want to pre-order a Switch or buy it day one. Knowing that Fire Emblem for the console is coming out next year definitely puts in my mind, if I'm able to get this on a sale this holiday, I'm definitely picking up a Switch. I like Fire Emblem quite a lot, and this game is fun. One of my biggest concerns going in was that the orbs are going to be hard to obtain, and maybe that'll be the case 2-3 months from now. But because of all of the bonuses they're giving to early adopters of the game, as well as I signed in with my Nintendo account, and you get bonuses for that too, tons of items that you can use in game. I think it's really fun. The draw to this game is getting the heroes you want and playing with them. And I haven't played every Fire Emblem game, but I love the artistic design of Fire Emblem Heroes. Small H, not big H. I just love how all of them are always designed, and the way they implement them in this game is really good. I think I completed the whole story, which there's not really much story there. It's a mobile game. What can you expect? It's intriguing enough to get you going and keep you playing. I like that there's additional difficulty modes. The leveling up system is cool. The additional content there of the arena and the special maps is really fun. There are some things that I think could be done a little bit better or can be improved in the future. But as far as all the positives, for now, that's definitely, there's a lot going on with it that I enjoy. So what about you guys that have played it?
So it's definitely Fire Emblem Light, and that's fine. That's not really my issue with it, and I don't even have an issue with the orbs, like you mentioned either. It doesn't feel like I'm being coerced into buying them. I haven't felt like I needed to spend any money in the slightest so far, and it's okay that it's a light Fire Emblem game. Having just played Fates on 3DS, it's just a super tiny piece of what the 3DS games are. But to me, it just feels like it was a phone game first, and then they just kind of shoved in all the Fire Emblem stuff. Whereas even though it's not too much my style, Super Mario Run looks like a Mario game first that was adapted to fit on a phone and control on a phone. Whereas this kind of feels the reverse, where the menus and the way it's structured just feels like a phone game, and it just kind of turns me off. But like you mentioned, the art is superb. So coming from the 3DS screen, that's like I think 240p type of resolution, super right, super low res, to my phone, which I think is like 1440p. It's like halfway to 4K or something obnoxious that's unnecessary. But this game looks super super good on it, and it makes me wish that the 3DS screen was much better. But then it also gets me excited for the Switch version as well, which should look pretty good too. So I mean, it's for a phone game, it's great. Like I played it way more than any other phone game, but it still just feels too much like just a cheap iOS game in some respects to me. So
Yeah. Jordan, you said you played it too, right?
Yeah, so my positives would be that it is a quality strategy game on the mobile platform, which has plenty of strategy on it, but I don't know about quality as far as the quantity of games that are on the App Store. It is beautiful, as you guys mentioned, and the sound is also great. Character design is really well done. Fire Emblem seems to have that down pat, so I wasn't expecting any different. Other than that, I'd say the gameplay is really solid, moment to moment. It's makes sense on a phone, and like Dom mentioned, the menus and icons and everything really feel like you're playing a phone game. So everything works within the context, and it's easy to use, simple. It's easy to get the hang of and fun to get started with. So I Jared, do you know how many chapters are on the story?
9.
9. So I just started chapter 4 before we got on, and about halfway through, and it's the story's whatever. It's basically all the Fire Emblem heroes have been transported into one universe to all fight each other, and it's kind of just, it's not a big deal, but as far as there's not a lot of depth to it, but I really like the gameplay, and I've never played a Fire Emblem game before, so I can't really compare it to anything else. Yeah, I'd like to get into the series. It's a series I've actually been wanting to get into for several years now, but this is a great first outing.
Also, it's a...
So, Jared...
Sorry, go ahead, Dom.
So, I'm about as far as Jordan, too. I think I'm on chapter 4 or 5. Does it get any harder? Because so far, I've not had one character die. I've not had 1 ounce of difficulty shot at me. It's just, I'm just breezing through it.
That's what I was going to talk about. The progression of the game is good from the sense of if you're new to Fire Emblem, or if you're just somebody who wants to play it, it doesn't smack you in the face and be like, you have to go and train. It gets very mobile gamey where you have to go and train and level up and do all this stuff, and then you can come back and finish the story, right? Which I appreciate. To your point, yeah, majority of the story does seem on the easier side just because you always seem a slight level ahead of who you're facing, right? As the story progresses, there's more enemies. So it goes from like the early stages, there's like 3 enemies, and then there's 4. The last couple of chapters have 5 or 6 enemies, which is pretty difficult. As the story progresses, your weaknesses start glaring really in your face. Like my archer. So there's a lot of characters I'm familiar with in Fire Emblem, and there's a ton of Fire Emblem characters. So there's some I'm not super familiar with. But the archer I got at the beginning, that was a 4-star, so I kept him on my team. Not very good. And I thought he was good for the longest time. Then I realized he actually wasn't as the chapters progressed, and he's not that good statistically speaking. But as the game goes on, there comes a point where you have to go and do some training stuff. Not to the point of like sitting there grinding, but it will punch you in the mouth. There will come a point where it will get difficult. I'll just say that much. The fact that when you beat a chapter, you get the other difficulty settings is really good. So there's normal, there's hard, and there's lunatic, and those scale up. For instance, I don't think you hit level 20 enemies until chapter 6, 5 or 6. I could be wrong about that, maybe 6. In hard, chapter 1 is level 20 enemies. So if you want to go back and level up characters, you can do it that way. Every chapter every mission in every chapter you complete, you get an orb. So like they're very generous with the orbs. My biggest concern with the game, and my one negative, is the size of the maps. I don't think it's a detriment to early on in the game.
Yeah, they're tiny.
Yeah, but as the game progresses, I think there should be stuff for late game players that are like, oh, you're familiar with the system now. Here's some wider maps. You can use more heroes, right? There's a different roster set. You can have 8 heroes instead of 4. And I understand why you want it so small. A, because it fits on a phone screen, and B, it's a very easy way to teach people how to play that game. But I think late game...
Well, they want you to... Sorry, want you to go buy the 3DS games.
Exactly.
Games. That's what,
Exactly, but they also want you to spend money. So if they say, hey, it's a DLC for larger maps, they can easily get you that way too, right? $199 or whatever. I agree with you. My major problem with mobile games is when there's that feeling that you need to buy to progress. It's either your time spent or money spent. And I think they nail this perfectly. Not once have I felt the need to buy orbs. I've unlocked so many heroes. There's not a weird thing where, like, in some games, for me personally, it feels like the things you buy with money, you seem to have a higher rate of getting good items or good things as opposed to the ones you earn in-game. And I haven't bought a single orb, and I've had the fortune of getting, I think, 8 or 9 4-star heroes, which is pretty good. And maybe it's just I'm lucky, which is fortunate. But, I think the game has a good hook. I think the progression system is really well laid out. I think they can expand the map. I agree with you that the menu is very mobile gamey, and that is kind of like but it does help people who aren't familiar with Fire Emblem get into the game. And you don't need that with Mario because it's Mario, right? Fire Emblem isn't Mario. And I think that they felt that you need to have this as close to mobile games that all of these kids are playing now, so that way they're familiar with it. So it's not a huge problem to me. I understand where you're coming from with that. This game could have easily been gutted to be even more of a mobile game, but I do enjoy it and I'm having fun with it. Like I said, I have a big problem with cell phone mobile games, and this is one that I've played more than any other, so I like it a lot. I have, I think, 9 characters over level 20, so I've been playing quite a bit. They're also very generous with the items you get that you can level your characters with. And so if you want to level up characters without having to grind them, you can go and do that. You can merge characters, so if you have multiples of the same character, you can just merge them together to get bonus stats. The way the whole game is designed is really good, and I think it's a great entry level for anybody even slightly interested in Fire Emblem. So I think it's a play. At least try it, so.
Well, that's good to hear on my front, as somebody who's never played it. And hearing that it's also his first Fire Emblem, that's a good recommendation for me then.
Yeah.
Also, quick tip for you, Logan, if you decide to download it, there's a quote-unquote cheese you can do to where so when you first start up the game, I didn't do this, but when you first start up the game, you get to roll your characters, and they can be anywhere between 1 and 5 star, 5 star being the best, right? If you get like a really crappy pool of characters to begin with, and they're like all 2 stars and 1 stars, you can delete the app, re-download it, and then you can just re-roll again. And you can see if you can get a... And I don't suggest doing it until you get like 2 5 stars and like completely cheesing the system, but if you get a really crap pool, don't feel like you need to go through with it. Just easily just delete the app and re-download it.
I saw a lot of people in my Twitter feed talking about that and doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I download it or not.
Also,
I don't know. I'm very much. I don't know how I feel about mobile games a lot of the time.
I'm with you there. This is I hate mobile games so much. But I was like, I love Fire Emblem. So I was like, God, you got me, So, also, Dom, did you sign in with your My Nintendo account, whatever the hell it's called, when you played it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't even have to sign in. I just clicked the button and then it just.
Yeah, you get a bunch of cool rewards for being a My Nintendo member, which I think is cool. Hopefully they have a system where you're rewarded for using your account and stuff on Switch. Hopefully there's something there. It's a whole nother discussion, but that's an interesting thing too. Is like I wonder if these mobile games will, since the Switch does have a touchscreen, if they'll be available there at some point either, which is really interesting. We'll see. That's pretty much it for Fire Emblem Heroes. Said it again, nailed it twice. Yes. So good.